Today, we're taking a fascinating journey back in time, way before credit cards, digital payments, or even a single coin existed. Imagine you're a farmer and you've just harvested a ton of wheat. You have more wheat than your family can possibly eat, but you desperately need a new pair of shoes. Under a barter system, you need to find a shoemaker who not only has a pair of shoes in your size, but also happens to be in need of some wheat. Since you were dealing with physical items, often perishable ones, storing your wealth was a major concern. Hey everyone! Today, we're taking a fascinating journey back in time, way before credit cards, digital payments, or even a single coin existed. We're diving deep into the world of the barter system. How did people trade? How did they get what they needed to survive and thrive without money? Let's find out. At its core, the barter system is incredibly simple. It's the direct exchange of goods and services for other goods and services. Imagine you're a farmer and you've just harvested a ton of wheat. You have more wheat than your family can possibly eat, but you desperately need a new pair of shoes. Under a barter system, you need to find a shoemaker who not only has a pair of shoes in your size, but also happens to be in need of some wheat. This crucial element is called the double coincidence of wants. Both parties must have what the other desires for a trade to even be possible. It sounds tricky, and honestly, it was. Every single trade was a negotiation. There were no price tags, no fixed values. The worth of an item was entirely subjective and determined by demand and necessity at that very moment. If a drought hit and grain was scarce, its value would skyrocket. If everyone had a good harvest, its value would drop. This constant negotiation was a fundamental part of daily life. A farmer might propose, "I'll give you 5 sacks of my wheat for one of your goats." The goat herder might counter, "This is a strong, healthy goat. I think it's worth at least 7 sacks. They would then have to haggle and discuss until they reached a mutual agreement that both felt was fair. This agreement was the bedrock of every transaction. Another key aspect was the timing. Exchanges had to happen simultaneously. You couldn't say, "Here's the wheat, I'll come back for the goat next week." Trust was a huge factor, but the system was built on the immediate, physical handover of goods. This created another challenge: storage. Since you were dealing with physical items, often perishable ones, storing your wealth was a major concern. If your wealth was a barn full of grain, you had to protect it from pests, mold, and thieves. If it was livestock, you had to feed and care for them. Unlike money, which is easy to store, goods were cumbersome and often had an expiration date. So what kinds of things were people trading? Mostly, it was items for daily use. The entire system was built on the foundation of agriculture. A farmer might trade his surplus wheat with a fisherman for a fresh catch of fish. That same fisherman might then trade some of his fish with a potter for new clay pots to store water. The potter, in turn, could exchange her beautiful pottery with a weaver for warm cloth to make clothing for her family. It was a complex web of interconnected needs and production. Tools and handmade items were also vital commodities. A skilled carpenter could trade a well-made wooden chair or a set of essential farming tools for a significant amount of food. A blacksmith, with his ability to forge metal, held a position of great importance, trading durable tools, knives, and other implements for everything his family required. Even services could be bartered. A person might help another build a fence in exchange for a share of their future harvest. This system naturally kept trade very local. Without modern transportation, it was impractical to haul bulky goods over long distances. Most bartering happened within a village or between neighboring communities. Everyone knew everyone. This proximity meant that trade wasn't just an economic transaction. It was a social one. There were no middlemen taking a cut, and written contracts were virtually non-existent. Your reputation was your credit score. Trades were based on trust, personal relationships, and a shared understanding within the community. If you were known to be dishonest or unreliable, people would simply refuse to trade with you. which could have devastating consequences. Let's break down the essential rules of a pure barter transaction. First, and most obviously, no currency or coins could be used. The moment money enters the picture, it's no longer bartering. Second, both parties had to agree on the value of the goods being exchanged. This agreement was the final word. Third, the exchange had to be immediate. Fourth, both goods being traded had to be genuinely useful to the recipient. There was no point in accumulating items you couldn't use or trade later. And finally, overarching all of this was the absolute necessity of trust and honesty. The system simply couldn't function without it. Think about the simplicity and the challenges. On one hand, it was a very direct and human way of conducting commerce. You looked the person you were trading with in the eye. You built relationships. You understood the tangible value of your labor because you were directly exchanging its fruits for something else you needed. On the other hand, it was incredibly inefficient. Finding that double coincidence of wants could take a huge amount of time and effort. Imagine needing medicine and only having chickens to trade. You have to hope the person with the medicine was in the market for a chicken right at that moment. The rise of money solved these problems. Money acts as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value, making transactions infinitely easier. But studying the barter system gives us a profound appreciation for how societies organized themselves before this invention. It highlights our innate human ability to cooperate, negotiate, and create systems of value based on mutual need and trust. It's a reminder that at the heart of any economy, past or present, so the next time you tap your card or scan your phone to pay for something, take a moment to think about the farmer trading wheat for a goat, or the potter exchanging a pot for some cloth. It's a long way from where we started, but the fundamental desire to exchange what we have for what we need remains the same. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into how the world works. See you in the next video.